Hey there, welcome to episode of Living in Northern California. And today we have a special topic. It's going to be pros and cons of living in the city of Rocklin. Now, we've had this channel now for about 4 years, and one of our first videos was the pros and cons of living in Rocklin. That's on our channel. But we want to give you an updated version because we've been here for about 4 years now. So this is going to be the 2025 version, pros and cons of living in the city of Rocklin, California.
All right, but before we get started, if you're new to our channel, make sure to give a little love to that subscribe button. All right, we're gonna jump right into it. So, being here in Rocklin for the last 4 years, we've definitely found a lot of things that we love about it, but we've also found a lot of things that could be a con for some people who are relocating here. So let's get started with one of the cons. Heat.
That's going to be my biggest con. And I'm sure a lot of you out there, if you're from California and you're thinking or heard of like the Sacramento region, Rocklin, you probably heard that it gets hot here. If you're from out of state, it gets hot here. The summer times are hot. Here's the thing to that though, we're from the Bay Area and it's a little bit cooler, but if there's gonna be triple digits here, a lot of times there's gonna be triple digits there as well. We've noticed a trend of, in California, temperature seems to be hotter in the summers.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it gets hot and it seems like it drags on a little bit during the summertime.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my biggest con of living here. The summertime, after a couple months, I'm like, man, I'm ready for a weather change, but it doesn't mean it's going to change just because I want it. So that's been one thing.
Well, every time it gets hot out here, I actually do check San Ramon's weather, which is where we came from, and it's literally a couple degrees apart for the most part. Now, 2024 summer was a little bit different. It was hot everywhere. So we were hitting long periods of hot weather, but even in Castro Valley, they were hitting over 100, which is rare in Castro Valley, and they don't have air conditioning.
Summer, right? Because, now talking about it, the summer before, obviously it was warm, hot, but it wasn't as bad as last year.
Yeah. And what I like about it is okay, it gets hot here. I personally like heat, but we're so close to like Folsom and the American River and Truckee, to where we have like places we can go. We have a pool. I feel like some places like the Bay Area, you have the beach, but you sometimes can't even go in the water there.
Got AC, man. I mean, let's face it, without AC, I don't know, but we have AC. So we do enjoy our, times where we go onto the American River and we bring our paddle boats. We do have our pool. We do have Folsom. It's a good time. Like the first month and a half is amazing, and then it's like, okay, I'm ready for a little change, and then eventually it starts to change, but then it'll get a heat wave again. I'm like, man, we're not out of the woods, and then it changes, and then it falls into.
But one of the things though, I feel like is you kind of feel seasons here. Right?
Absolutely, yeah, because it's cold in the wintertime. Very
cold in the winter.
Springtime is perfect out here.
Right, like right now is perfect.
It really is.
Yeah.
So right now we need to appreciate springtime, because out here springtime, it lasts for a while too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, this is perfect weather, and then just starts ramping up the heat. So, there's number one.
All right, so second con, traffic.
That is a con for some people. For us coming from the Bay Area, and let's face it, we work from home, we work on our own schedule, right? So I used to commute in the Bay Area, and I mean, I was going on 580, 880 as a kid, 16 when I had my license, up till when we left when I turned 40. So I was very used to commuting, and it always sucked, right? There wasn't really a good time to commute. Out here, it's not nearly as bad, right? So the 65, we live off of the 65, and where it's going to get congested the most is going to be Stanford Ranch, Pleasant Grove area, because you have a mall there, right? And maybe certain times get worse than others, maybe like 5 p.m., something like that, maybe around 8 a.m. And then we're kind of blessed that we don't necessarily have to commute as much. So it's not that big of a con to me, but I could see maybe people coming from out of state that aren't used to traffic at all.
Yeah.
They're going to think it's traffic. And then when you go to 80, there's gonna be more traffic there as well.
Yeah, and I think most of the traffic too is like, I feel like when I travel to the Bay Area, I like to go on weekdays because I like to go when it's not commute hours, and I feel like it's more manageable. But then if I commute to the Bay Area on the weekend, I feel like I hit more traffic on the 80, like out towards Davis area.
Stay tuned, guys, because we're going to hit up some pros too. Okay,
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah,
talk about
for
the cons
sure.
right now. Yeah.
So, I mean, Rocklin, the city itself, I don't feel like is congested. There's not a lot of traffic within the city. It's just, you know, more on like the 80 where you hit maybe like the Sacramento Davis area, or like the 65 where there's, you know, a little bit of traffic for Stanford.
And a lot of times you're going to go into Roseville to go eat dinner, to go to the mall, to go shopping. And so Roseville's a little bit more built out. I guess, you know, there's just more people there. Rocklin's still a small town. Roseville has that vibe, but it's definitely more built out. There's more population. So you're going to have a little bit more traffic going into like Roseville. Yeah. Let's face it, we're in Rocklin. We're like part of Roseville. You know, that's the place we go to almost every single day.
All right. Number 3 is prices.
Again, us coming from the Bay Area, and we still do real estate in the Bay Area, and we follow the Bay Area. The Bay Area has just gone up so much, but when we're focusing on the city of Rocklin's now, Sacramento region's going through a boom. Rocklin is now on the radar of a lot of families from not only the Bay Area, but around the country. And yes, a house 10 years ago was going to be a lot more affordable than it is today. A house 5 years ago was going to be more affordable than it is today. A house 2 years ago. The prices continue to go up out here. Okay, that's what we're seeing. So that's a con for people in a sense that when was the best time to buy? Probably 20 years ago, right? Yeah. But let's face it, it's now 2025. Right?
I think
it's a higher price point.
Right. And I think also with the amount of people relocating to the Sacramento region, because Rocklin has such amazing schools, a lot of people, you know, gravitate towards that, right? Obviously, a lot of cities in the area have great schools too, but Rocklin's known for their great schools. And also, there's not as much land to build on in Rocklin as there is in Lincoln or Roseville or Folsom Ranch. Rocklin's pretty much almost tapped out as far as where they're building. Like, we live in Whitney Ranch, and they just opened the last builder that's building in Whitney Ranch. So as the new construction space kind of runs out of, you know, land, the more prices are going to go up. And so, you know, Whitney Ranch, when we first moved into this area, you know, Brentwood was selling houses in like the high 500s, and now they're closing out like in their least expensive house was like 700,000. And so, you know, to buy an affordable home in the Whitney Ranch specifically, you're probably looking at Westwind, which is like in the low 600s, which is almost sold out too, right?
Sold out, almost sold out. Going to be your smaller lots. You know, in order to get in now at a lower price point, you're going to be sacrificing a few things. Lot size is going to be one of them. They still have some good deals though. You know, you get houses that go on the market, they tend to sell pretty quick out here. So you could get into like Westwind you were talking about in the $600,000 price point. A little bit smaller lot, but you're getting a brand new home by a quality builder, right? In the city of Rocklin, in one of our favorite communities, Whitney Ranch.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so enough about the cons, because I love Rocklin. Oh wait, nothing? No, there is one more. Okay. Construction.
Okay, yeah, let's touch on that, right? There's construction everywhere, not specifically Rocklin. Rocklin, there's actually not too bad at construction. We are still in Whitney Ranch, so they're building the Nugget here. They're finishing up some of the JMC builds that they have. They have 3 communities. They're kind of getting towards the tail end, and they just opened up Finale by Anthem, KB Homes, and they're finishing up another community by JMC. Sounds like a lot, but really it's in one little section, and then that part of the construction's done. But then they're starting the project of the huge Nugget that is also going to have a lot more retail, probably some commercial there. And that's right off the 65.
And then that's just in Whitney Ranch. They have a few newer communities out in the older part of Rocklin by Sierra College. So there's, you know, some construction, but not a lot. I mean, when we first moved here, it was a lot of construction. I mean, we were getting flat tires all the time because the
Going through
nails.
nails. But here, you're not going to get flat tires like we did. We were driving through a lot of these new builds, construction sites. There's nails on the ground.
Yeah.
We've learned from those experiences.
And they are actually planning on building a brand new UC Davis hospital right off the Whitney Ranch Freeway. I don't know when that's going to be, but that's, you know, coming up. So that's actually a pro, not a con.
Yeah, there's a lot of these are pros and cons in a sense, right?
Yes.
We're talking about the negative side, but on the flip side, there's usually a pro to it as well.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So yeah, that's enough of the cons. Let's talk about some of the pros.
All right. Well, how do you feel about the people here?
That's one of the pros. When we moved out here, we were looking during the pandemic time. So obviously it was a stressful time, especially in the Bay Area. And I remember coming out here, just had more of a relaxed energy, a good energy, a welcoming energy, right? And I was just like, whoa, this feels nice. Okay, so now I've been here for 4 years. I've seen everything for 4 years, right? We've done a lot of work in the Sacramento region, especially Rocklin. Man, people are just super cool out here.
Yeah, I mean,
very, very
I
friendly,
love
approachable out here.
it has that community vibe. And I thought it was just because we lived in this bubble called Whitney Ranch, because our neighbors are super cool. We get together when we want to, but no one's really nosy. People say hi and wave. But we work with a lot of people relocating here, and they all say the same thing. Like, we had a client who moved into a brand new neighborhood, and she texted me on Halloween, and she was like, I have never spent a Halloween in my neighborhood before. Usually we go somewhere else to go trick-or-treating, but we had a neighborhood block party, and we were having such a blast with our neighbors that we didn't even leave. And you know, we get that from a ton of our clients, and so it's nice to see that there's still a sense of community. Like the other day, I had like 3 of our neighbors come over and work out with us in the garage. We have like girls' night out, they have guys poker. You know, it's just a sense of community where the kids can play outside on the street. You know, my son will look out the window and he'll say, oh, the boys are playing outside, can I go ride my bike with them? And so that's so nice, because that kind of, I felt like when we were at the tail end of like living in the Bay, we weren't. I mean, my kids would play outside, but I didn't see a lot of kids playing. And
it all depends where you're at,
yeah,
right? You could go in the Bay Area, certain areas.
It was just so
I would never have my kids
fast-paced.
out in other places, right?
Yeah.
So it's
it
like
was just really fast paced there, to where
yeah,
like
we lived in a good city,
Yeah.
multiple good cities, and I think you get used to that lifestyle of go, 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 that you don't slow down. It's on to the next thing, on to the next
well,
thing.
and then the cool thing too is like, what city can you say you are? Like, you could text the mayor of Rocklin. I mean, we met the mayor of Rocklin because she was door knocking the new construction, because she wants people to be welcomed into the community. And she actually went with us to the finale grand opening because she wants to be with our neighbors and our community. So that just speaks a lot about the leadership here in Rocklin.
So I have 2 kids out, I have 4 kids, but 2 kids that are actively living with us, and I love their friends.
Sports.
Probably mostly my 15-year-old is gauged that the most, because he's the most active in sports and has a lot of friends, and he goes out a lot. Whenever he brings his friends over, and we kind of know their parents through sports too, right? There's not too many red flags at all.
Yeah.
I feel very confident and happy with the friends that he's made, and it's been like that since we moved here.
Yeah,
he's always just naturally fit in. But also I have my niece, I have my nephew,
and
they've all fit in, right? That they kind of had some issues in the Bay Area of not fitting in, to be honest with you. In elementary, you know, there's some things going on, but coming here, they seem to all have fit in. It's been welcoming. Every school is there's always gonna be little things, but I'm happy with what I see.
Yeah.
I'm very confident with my son and his friend choices right
well,
now.
that moves us into pro number 2. The schools in Rocklin are amazing.
Yeah.
You know, we actually go to Whitney High School, but we've gone through the elementary school. There's a brand new elementary school that our son goes to, and I feel like the schools here, our children seem to be thriving. You know, I've had past experiences where, you know, I just feel like we were constantly trying to catch up. Just maybe it was such a fast pace for us in the different areas that we were always trying to catch up. And here I feel like even his niece and nephew are thriving. And I talk to a lot of other parents who are from different parts. Like we have neighbors from Orange County, Canada, San Jose, and they all say that their kids are thriving here. So it's nice to hear that, you know, we're known for our schools, but now that we're living here, we actually get to experience that. And then the sports here, they seem fun to me. Like I love watching.
Here's another thing though that was different than when I grew up. When I grew up, we hung out with people from our school, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
If you're from another school, it's just kind of like, who's that? Little rivalry thing going, right? And it weirds me out sometimes that my 15-year-old is wrestling against all these kids in different schools, but they're friends too.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, like, hey, man, you're about to wrestle this kid. Why are you guys laughing like that?
They're
But
like talking in the
it's
corner.
super cool. I get it now. Anthony, our son, will have friends from all schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All when he was in elementary and he started wrestling, he was friends with everybody he competed with. All the high schools, they just act like they're friends, and then when they wrestle, and then afterwards they're cool again. I kind of like that.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. I mean, even our niece, she has a lot of friends at the other high school in Rocklin. So there's two high schools. There's Whitney Ranches where we're all at, and then there's a Rocklin High School. But she has a ton of friends at Rocklin. But Granite Bay Middle School, they were all there together, so that could also be why.
Cool.
Yeah. So another pros we could talk about is the growth. I mean, Sacramento region alone, but Rocklin's growth has just been, I mean, from seeing the growth here for the last 4 years is just amazing. You know?
It's growing, but what I love about Rocklin is it still has that small town feel. And I think, like Rose was saying earlier, they're kind of finishing up a lot of the builds in the next couple of years. It's not going to get overpopulated. It's going to still feel like a small town, opposed to other cities you might go to in the Sacramento region. That's going to feel a little bit more fast paced. So I love Rocklin, man. It's going to be a little bit higher price point than a lot of these cities that we talk about. But with that, you get so much. It's it's such a cool place, guys. It really is. And you know what? A pro also is I truly believe in this city, and I truly believe that this real estate market in the Sacramento region, Rocklin included, is very resilient. And with all the growth I see all around, you can get in a house right now and don't worry about it crashing.
Yeah,
you know, sure. And I just don't see that. Anything could happen, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the world we live in today. But when interest rates went from, you know, 3s, high 2s to 8s, it didn't crash this market. It floated down, pulled back a little bit, and now it continues to go up, right? That's a huge, if you go from 3% to 8%, that's got crash written all over it. Very resilient area.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one I have for pros is just the proximity of Rocklin to, you know, a lot of the outdoor activities. But in general, I feel like this area is actually like central. So when we first moved here, you know, we lived in San Ramon, and I thought that was central because you got San Francisco, you have the South Bay. And then when we were moving to the Sacramento region, I was like, where are we moving to? Like, there's nothing out there. I think of Sacramento, I think like super suburb. But living here, I mean, we are 2 hours from the Bay Area. We are an hour and a half to 2 hours from Lake Tahoe. Reno's right there. And so those are like the main places we like to go, right? So, you know, he gets to go snowboarding with our son for the day. It's like an hour and 10 minutes to get to the snow here. Then you have Folsom Lake.
So when we were in the Bay Area, it's
2 hours, but 4 hours.
It was
a 4 hour
all-day
drive.
adventure just to get there. I could literally pack up the car. We could be up there in an hour, 20 minutes. and then come right back, and it feels like we just went out for a little bit.
So our daughter was really into paddle boarding and just would go out for a couple hours and just, you know, really enjoy the outdoors. So that's just some of the favorite things we like to do outdoors, such close proximity here to Rocklin.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people watching this channel because they just are looking for some kind of guidance, I guess, right? Like we did when we moved out here. We didn't know much about it, and that's what this channel's for. That's why we love talking about our experience. It's always going to be our honest experience too, guys. If you guys want to reach out, get on a call with us, and we could actually answer any of your questions and help you be that guide. And also, if you have not yet, make sure to show a little love to that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.